I'm Adam Grease, one of the founders of Vitalism. 80% of us are on track to die of aging. It's not a choice. The diseases that will kill us are not merely and innocently age-related. They're a direct result of aging. It's not graceful. It's brutal and tragic. But aging is solvable, and science has shown in the last 30 years that we can modify the aging process and even extend lifespans in mammals by over 30%. Now, humanity can complete great scientific projects when it wants to, including things that when started are thought impossible, like the Human Genome Project. And change can happen fast. We should make this kind of effort to solve aging. Everything from increasing the number of researchers 100-fold to providing public and private incentives, to moving from sick care to health care in our health infrastructure, and so much more. This slide is meant to tease your imagination as to all the things that we could do if we tried. Instead, we already do spend huge amounts of money to fight aging and extend lifespan, except in ways that just don't make sense. We wait until people are in their last few years of life and get these so-called diseases, and then we spend vast amounts of money to try to eke out 1 or 2 extra years, often in poor quality. At the same time, we spend over $100 billion a year on everything from Botox, plastic surgery, to sauna and supplements, all superficial interventions that don't change the fundamental aging process. Unfortunately, no amount of sauna, zone 2, or supplements is going to change this graph. Meanwhile, we hardly spend any resources on science and technology to solve aging. Such research only gets less than 10% of the U.S. National Park Service budget. So to summarize, aging causes the vast majority of our healthcare costs, but only gets a tiny fraction of our budget and attention. To make things worse, it still takes over 10 years to go from lab to clinic. It's incredibly difficult to try things in humans, partially due to outdated regulations. And many of our best and brightest are working optimizing click-through funnels. It should be no surprise then that in 2024, we still have 0 interventions approved to treat aging in humans. Now, some think today's meager resources might be enough. And to that, I would just say, when your life depends on it, you should be trying as hard as possible, not with a fraction of your energy. How could this be? Well, people are strangely bipolar about aging and death. On the one hand, we embrace but then reject the transformative power of science, saying that aging is uniquely inevitable, despite scientific evidence to the contrary. We say we're fine with dying at the average lifespan, but then throw our entire net worth to get a few extra years, often in poor quality. We make up the zaniest objections, like boredom or other arguments that would never pass logical scrutiny in any other situation. And we publicly say aging is fine, but privately go to war with Botox, plastic surgery, and a host of other interventions. Now, this could have made sense in the savannah. Evolutionarily, you could imagine that somebody constantly aware of death would never take any risks, but it doesn't serve us now. A great example of this, and a key to understanding the challenge facing us, is the billionaire paradox. The fact that many claim they would do anything to get more time, and then ironically do nothing to promote solving aging. Despite media clickbait articles, only 1% of billionaires have invested anything in research and technology to solve aging. And of those, the vast majority have invested less than 1% of their net worth. The thing is, billionaires are just like the rest of us. They make up all sorts of bizarre reasons not to take action, including a few that are unique to billionaires. I mean, what's the point of being rich if you have to think about something nasty? And if you're being pitched all day, maybe longevity just sounds like another opportunity for somebody to get your money. That being said, some billionaires even acknowledge they should be doing a lot more, but simply can't bring themselves to. In addition, a vicious cycle holds us back. Diseases of aging are the squeaky wheel upon which an entire sick care system has been built. Here's how it works. You have patient groups in a pharma lobby who influence elected officials to create mandates for the NIH and other bodies to focus on diseases of aging, which the FDA and pharma are happy to do because that's how they know to operate. These infrastructural hurdles and the psychological resistance make it implausible that incremental milestones like doubling a mouse's lifespan, getting some drug into the market that extends lifespan in pets, or approval of some intervention that could be used off-label to potentially impact aging, but with very low effect size to cause the kind of sea change we need. So what should we do? History is full of great examples of resource reallocations, and they usually require some sort of revolution. The good news when you look at this graph is that the amount of time from starting some sort of movement to inflection has been shortening and shortening due to a shrinking world and increased communications and technology. Also, you may notice that after a year of founding, and even an inflection, often the movements that succeeded had relatively few active members. We're following this playbook with Vitalism to create the change we need to confront aging. The pattern works like this. You start with a committed group, then establish a beachhead, get to inflection, and achieve success. By following this playbook, we believe there's a path to get to $1 trillion a year allocated to fight aging and death, as opposed to the few billion going to that purpose today. $1 trillion sounds like a huge number, but the Apollo project shows how that number isn't that distant. In its peak year, the Apollo project received $60 billion adjusted for inflation. And after it was completed, a scholar named Everett Rogers analyzed the positive spillover effects from the project and found that for every dollar invested in the Apollo project, $7 to $14 of positive spillover value was created in the economy. Vitalism has a simple three-part plan. First, unify supporters of Vitalist values. To get people to organize, to effectively create influence, we need to bring together people who share the same ideas. The first step to do that was to codify what it was that we stood for, which is encapsulated in the Vitalist Declaration. Anybody who agrees with these points is a Vitalist, whether they're from the Don't Die community, a biologist, or just somebody who wants to live healthier and better. Next, we established a nonprofit foundation made up of committed Vitalists to carry out operations to accelerate the movement. One of the first things we realized was that existing names can't unify us. The thing is, names like longevity, anti-aging, transhumanism are generic and often represent conflicting worldviews and sometimes outright scams. That's how we came up with Vitalism, a name that has a clear definition and can be protected with a trademark. Next, we are sparking and amplifying a network of Vitalists and Vitalist organizations. The idea is that by taking collaborative initiative, we can create a virtuous cycle instead of a vicious cycle. Vitalists create pop-up cities, local chapters, spin up companies, hold events, and do much more to amplify our ideas and extend this ecosystem. Now, any Vitalist can make a difference, but the most impactful Vitalists are those who take action, mobilized Vitalists. In the future, there will be many ways to be recognized as mobilized. It may be through a donation to a Vitalist organization or helping organize a Vitalist event. For now, anybody can become a mobilized Vitalist by making a small financial commitment, which also makes sure that Vitalism Foundation will be completely independent. In return, besides joining a group of incredible Vitalists, mobilized Vitalists get complimentary streaming of our annual conference and a wide range of incredible discounts and benefits for health and longevity services offered by companies who support the mission. This includes everything from full-body MRI, blood tests, VO2 max tests, DEXA scans, and much, much more. These companies are excited to elevate other Vitalists, and more are joining all the time. The third part of our plan is to transform existing jurisdictions into longevity states. A longevity state is simply a jurisdiction which prioritizes fighting aging and death and shows it by at least 1% of its GDP going to that purpose, whether from private or public sources. Existing jurisdictions can become longevity states in different ways, often leveraging a combination of regulatory innovation, public capital, and private industry. A great example of this is the Free State Project, started in 2001 by Jason Sorens. The idea was that libertarians from around the United States could choose one jurisdiction, one state that they would focus on and try to influence to become more of a libertarian paradise. They ran a state selection process and eventually chose New Hampshire. And within 3 years, one of their community members was already elected to the House of Representatives of New Hampshire. Today, they have over 20 members in the New Hampshire House of Representatives, punching above 5 times their electoral weight from a population perspective, and they've passed many laws to promote their values. I'd like to share a few other examples of jurisdictions that are becoming longevity states. Last year in Montana, a state senator named Ken Bogner led the passage of a landmark law expanding the right to try to individuals who are not terminally ill. As of October 2023, anybody can go to Montana and get prescribed any drug or device that passed phase 1 trials and receive the respective treatment with informed consent, but without further need for approval. This could substantially reduce the time from lab to clinic for certain individuals, increasing the tempo of innovation. In 2021, Saudi Arabia announced Evolution, a foundation equipped with up to $1 billion a year dedicated to investments to solve aging through science and technology. They've already started deploying large amounts of money, including supporting the $101 million XPRIZE health span, which has the goal of rejuvenating people by 10 years by 2030. In Honduras, a special economic zone named Prospera offers progressive regulations which allow the delivery of new treatments upon informed consent way before they may be available in other jurisdictions. Most recently, Brian Johnson of Blueprint fame came down there to get follistatin gene therapy, leading to an influx of interest and revenue for the companies involved. To conclude, we can do something about aging, and you can help and improve your own health in the process. Join us